Hi, my name is Alessandro Gandrosi and that's a video tutorial coming from cgcookie.com for Max Cookie. This time we'll talk about the Monster Tornado series and we'll try to finalize everything. That's the first part, the ground simulation, and that's also the mesh. So I like to have the smoke moving before it is creating the tornado. So I'd like to see actually what we have, and I like to make a really simple simulation using a low value to finalize the parameters for this simulation, then finalize the parameters for the first simulation, then we are ready to render everything. So let's say where we have to save the cache again, because I changed some stuffs there, and let's call it ground. Okay, and let's simulate. Okay, let's stop. We have enough frames to see how it is looking. You see, that's the result. It is starting to move, and then we have this dust moving a little bit really fast. Let's see if we need the softer the fall off. Sorry, box, and let's see if we need a little bit more. Okay, let's see if we have the use GPU, if you have FumeFX 3, and let's use the shadows just to be sure we have a better representation of the final look. Let's make a test render just to be sure. Okay, that's the actual look. In this way I think it will be useful to add a little bit of noise using the Wavelet turbulence. So what I mean is that we have for sure to use an higher scale there, and then let's see from the top if we can use a better scale. No, and go back there, and we can try to use a little bit less scaling to be faster. So we'll go for something like 1 meter, and we'll try to use inside the simulation the wavelet turbulence. Let's resimulate some frames, not all the frames, but just a part of the frames, just to see what we are simulating. Okay, let's stop. You see that actually obviously the scaling is lower and we have a different kind of result, but it's useful to see how it looks. Let's try with a scaling of 2 and the strength of 3, and let's simulate just some frames to see how it will look with a wavelet, and then we'll move to the rendering setup to be sure the look is okay, and then we'll go to the tornado to finalize the tornado looking and prepare for the final rendering. Okay, you see it is calculating. We can test, for example, this frame just to see if it's working fine. So let's stop. We have to wait for the stopping there. Back 1 frame. Let's say to use the wavelet, so you see we have more detail. I like to see if we have enough detail for a preview animation. You see that it's not bad. Maybe it's not the best quality, but you can prepare the final one with a higher level of detail. Now I like to see the rendering parameters there. Let's close. The ambient color is this one, but I like to have a darker one. I like to change a little bit there using the key mode. sorry. In this way, if we render, we have this kind of color, and I like to see that at the beginning it is darker, and then let's remove this one. Sorry, let's use the first one. That's this one darker with a little bit less color in there, and then we have a little bit less density, and I like to see inside the preview again with a use a GPU the look in there, but it is really clear, so it's not so simple. Let's use 0.7 there and 1.5 there. So that's the result. You see, it's really less visible than before, but I prefer to have less visible and control the color maybe in compositing later. So let's say that we have this one with the right setup. Then I like to go to the monster tornado main body and control the final looking. So let's go to say where we have to save. Let's save there, and let's say that it's the tornado body. Okay, we have the no wavelet turbulence, so let's try to find before the quality we like. Let's use let's iteration, and the scaling, let's see, with maybe 0.5, and for the wavelet turbulence, sorry, the simulation, I like to see the scaling there if it's enough or not. But before we have to make a test, use the GPU for the preview, and let's see what we can obtain. Okay, we can stop it to check the result. Let's say to use the shadows. Let's scale a little bit more. So that's the result. It seems not bad, but let's try to make a rendering, and I like to find the final quality. So in this case you see that the scaling is not so big. I like to see if using this scale, but using a lower scale for the turbulence, we can obtain a better result. So let's remake some frames just to see if it is better to have more little detail there and adding more detail using the wavelet turbulence, because obviously I like also to show an interesting scaling for the complete effects. You see there in the viewport that the details are more little than before. Let's stop. That's the result, actually that's the previous result. Let's see with the rendering what we can obtain. You see that it's more little and we have more detail, so it will be interesting to add a little bit of better scaling there to see how it is looking, like 0.3. It is fast enough to be calculated. We should see more detail actually, and then maybe adding the wavelet can be enough to obtain the final result. We have to check also what happens when we have the complete animation to see if the other parameters are fine or not. Okay, let's stop. You see that we have more detail, and it seems not bad. So I like to make a test. We have just 60 frames. Let's check if we have the right parameters there. No, we have to resimulate part of the animation. So let's resimulate it. And then we'll calculate some frames with a wavelet, and we'll see if the look is okay. Then we have to check the animation, and that's really important. And we have to merge both the files together, trying to achieve the best result. Let's try to have maybe 60 frames as we done before. So just 10 more frames. Okay, stop. Back one frame. Simulation made to the wavelet, but we have to say where to save the wavelet. And let's say that we save in the same folder as before, and we call it Tornado WT and save. Let's check the scaling. We have 2.0, can be enough, and let's try with 4 to have a lot of detail, and let's make a test. Okay, let's check the result there at frame 57. We just stopped the recording, sorry, the simulation. Okay, just one frame before, and wavelet. You see that we have a lot of detail, and rendering one frame. It seems that we have a lot of detail there for the simulation. Let's see if we add a little bit of scattering, something around 0.5. Maybe less, 0.25. Just to obtain a little bit of scattering inside the dust. Okay, I think that in this way is enough. So let's go back to default and simulation mode default, and let's save. Now I like to see what happens when we stay at the end to be sure that the simulation works completely. But to do this and to speed up things, I remove the extra detail, and let's remember that we have to use 0.3. Let's try to 5 times maybe 1. Let's simulate everything. It will be really fast in this way to be simulated. Obviously the quality is really poor, but it is not our main problem. I like just to see that when the object is moving, we have not so much trail. Okay, we can check the result. So we have the tornado moving there, and then it moves to our right, and then to the left. But you see that we have a lot of smoke there. So we'll try to do something inside another proxy there, the speed, and let's say that we have 0, and we make a really fast calculation. So we see if using 0 speed when the object is moving, we have so much moving or less moving. So you see it is better than before, but we have still too much smoke there. So it is moving better, but we have still too much smoke. So it is better to go and having you see more dissipation there for the smoke and more dissipation there for the strength. So 0.5 and 50, and let's see if now it is better or not. Okay, let's see how it is going. You see that it is obviously in dying before during the simulation, but then we have it moving there and it is better than before, and then there. Okay, I think we can do something in between. So we can add a little bit of speed there, so maybe we can try with 0.5 and then to the simulation we can use 50%, but maybe we can dissipate at 0.2, so it will be faster to dissipate, but the dissipation will be active at 2. So we have to make again a little simulation to see if the new parameters are working fine. Okay, now we can check again the simulation. I think that in this way is not bad. Maybe we need a little bit more frames to see how it is evolving. So 350, and we have to say to the simulation 2, 350 there, and 350 for the play. And now I like to see with the final parameters there, 0.3, and the wavelet, how it is looking. So simulation, and let's make some frames, maybe 60 as before, to see if everything is going in the right way. Let's stop. We have enough frames. I like just to see the frames there inside the rendering, just to see if it's going fine. It seems okay. And let's go to simulate the wavelet for just maybe 60 frames. Okay, let's stop. We have the frame 59. Okay, frame 59, wavelet cache, and simulate there for the rendering. Okay, I think we have a lot of detail there, so I think we can go with the final simulation and maybe also the final render. Something that can be interesting is also to check again the look, but before I like to save. Okay, talking about the look inside there, maybe just a little bit less saturation and a little bit darker. Okay, and also the environment color, the ambient color, darker, because we have also the scattering illumination, so we are achieving a better result just using the scattering. Let's go also to see the Omnilight one, and I like to have a little bit less power, so let's say maybe 0.25, again because we have the scattering, and you see that now it is a little bit better. So save, and we have the final step there. Back there again to the ground, because I like to fix some things and then we can merge the project all together. So one thing we need is to speed up the simulation, because actually it is really too much slow. And to make this, we can avoid actually to have the noise there, maybe on the ground. So let's see the map. We have the noise. Let's go for a regular, or maybe we can also remove the noise just to see if we can be faster during the simulation. And again, I like to see the default simulation mode default, and let's see if it is speed upping the things. Let's wait just some frames to be sure it is going better than before, but it seems that now we have a better result. I like to see also the scaling, because we changed the scaling before, so I like to see what happens if we have 0.3 as the ground, as the tornado, sorry, and we remove from this one the extra detail. So it will be a little bit slower to be calculated in this phase, but we have just one calculation, and we can use this one and play a little bit with the rendering parameters to have a less dense value, because I like just to have a little bit of dust moving from the ground. So let's wait for some frames, because we have to see how it looks. Maybe we can just speed up using 0.5, and then the final simulation can be done using 0.3. So you see, actually, just to speed up things, I'm using just a frame there without the map controlling the opacity and the presence of the smoke. So let's say, for example, that we are okay with this one. Let's say maybe there. Okay. I like to see how it looks in rendering. We have to close this one and open again, and I think that with the wavelet this can be enough, and maybe it's okay also without the wavelet. We have just to see the simulation there is really big, so maybe we have to go to 0.5 to have a lower one, and we simulate in this one in this way. So let's save and let's go back in the part 3 just to see how it looks when we merge both in the same frame. So merge, and I go in the right folder, and we have the ground, and from there we can merge directly just the FumeFX 2. We don't need to simulate, so we can just play with the rendering. So what happened when we try to use this one? Let's say that we use the frame minus 95 and minus 95, so just one frame, sorry, minus 100 to 300, and we say that there we use the minus 985, minus 85, and minus 100, and before we use the start frame and the 8th frame. Let's try to render a single frame just to see if we set fine this one. Let's try to render, because it was not loading in the right way. So we have something there, you see. we have to add the lights there. Sorry, I have outline there, so I remove it just for a moment. Let's say that pick the light using the usual tool, and we select both lighting there, and let's see what happened. And you see that's the smoke that we'll see inside the rendering. We can also use a lower value there, so we can use a brighter color, and we can use a less dense. Obviously it is calculating the scattering with both simulation. So if we move to the frame 59, we can see both together to see if it is working fine. It is calculating the multiple scattering between the two FumeFX, and that's the result. So we know two things. First of all, we need to use the same color. So that means that the color we are using there for these FumeFX inside the rendering is this one, so copy, and we have to use the same there, paste. I will save this project all together, so please remember that you have to load the right cache on the second FumeFX, so you can simulate on the other project and then load there. So you see that now it is better because it is working in the same way. Let's save and let's check from another point of view to understand what is happening. Okay, it is going not bad because it is just loading dust all around. So please remember to use this one as a project, so there you will load the other cache coming from the other project. Let's go back to the undo camera rotate. So that's our point of view. So you have to make the simulation for the tornado there. You have to use this one, the FumeFX 002, just to load the ground simulation made on the other project, the other 3ds Max scene, and on the ground scene you have to make the final simulation. So I will go to resave in the right way what you have to simulate there. So object source there, and you have to use the map to gradient. Okay, you will use it. I'm checking if we have some problems there or not. Maybe we can use a little bit more smoke. Let's see if everything is working fine, because you know we can make some errors when we are saving. But it seems no. It seems that it is going fine. Okay, so the resolution you have to use there for this simulation is 03 to have more detail, and you have to be sure that you have no wavelet turbulence set to on. Okay, so we saw how to set up both, and you know that after the simulation done there you have to load the cache on the other project for the ground, and then you are ready to render both together. And if you like, you can change something about the look, but you'll obtain the final project with a good amount of detail and quality, and you'll be able to simulate something more complex in the coming future. So for the moment that's all, and I hope to see you back on MaxCookie to check for a new tutorial coming from cgcookie.com. Bye.